Carol's Daughter Productions presents St. Jane and the Wicked Wicks, Episode 3. Written, composed, and produced by Kristin Lems. Directed by Douglas Post.
It's me, Nellie, again. My happiest day ever was when Jean and I went to the fair. I was doing mending for Hull House to earn enough to get away from that family. And one day in 1893, I brought the mending to Hull House. Everyone, including me, had a World's Fair fever. I could hardly get in the front door with the tourists in the street. Aunt Jane gave me money so Brother Jean and I could go to the fair. We strolled around the Midway, just like the fancy people, rode the big wheel, and even saw a vaudeville show for free. And that's the day I got to audition for a dancing show. But 4 years later, my dream had turned into a nightmare. While Hull House was growing by leaps and bounds,
I believe, finally, that the teacher is engaged not simply in the training of individuals, but in the formation of the proper social life. I believe that every teacher should realize the dignity of his calling, that in this way, the teacher always is the prophet of the true God and the usherer in of the true kingdom of God.
Thank you for your lecture, Mr. Dewey.
Bravo, Professor Dewey.
John, that was wonderful.
What a fine group of working men and women we had tonight. It's gratifying to see so many turn up, even on a cold winter night after a long day's work. A most enthusiastic audience, Jane.
It's not hard to get a good turnout for Dr. John Dewey. Let's do it again very soon, John. Perhaps a series. Our residents enjoy considering new ideas, and you are making waves with your laboratory school, not only in Chicago, but in the entire nation.
Waves? You, Jane, are a one-woman tidal wave. Imagine, garbage inspector for the 19th Ward, the first woman in Chicago history, perhaps American history, to take on the trash.
You know I enjoy a challenge.
The 19th Ward has many challenges, as you call them, yet you willingly place yourself right in the middle of the hubbub.
The alderman was not giving our neighborhood the needed attention, so I had to step forward.
But garbage collection?
Mary and her parents encouraged me to try, quite unlike my stepmother, I might add, who is appalled by my mixing with the dirt, as she calls it. I'm proud to wear the commissioner's star, as you can see here on my lapel.
Ah, yes, I see. It's lovely.
Oh, Julia, what's the problem?
Jane, the Social Science Club's raising a ruckus. No one shows any sign of leaving. Shall we... Oh, Professor Dewey, we're sorry you had to deliver your lecture right next door to our noisiest, most vociferous club. It must have been quite distracting.
Not in the least, Julia. It stimulated me to speak a little louder and with more animation. I will have to attend their meetings to find out what is really going on in Chicago, outside our stuffy university.
Nonsense, John. You are quite visionary. We are spellbound by you.
Jane, shall I disperse them? It's well past 10, and Ellen is trying to sleep.
If they are merely animated, but not angry, I suggest letting things run their course. The Plato Club doesn't start until 9 a.m., so Ellen will have plenty of time to sleep. But if the tone is turning angry, call me in for a stern look.
All right, Jane, I'll do my best. Nice to see you, Professor Dewey.
A haven and a hotbed. You managed to have both. But there is other news, isn't there? You have been to Europe, Egypt, and to Russia since I last saw you, visiting our friend in the painting up there, Count Tolstoy. Did he help you count your blessings, or was he instead a count of no account?
A bit of both, John. After giving his books to so many young people, I felt it was high time I met Tolstoy in person. We endured bumpy carriages, lurching trains, and inclement weather. It was a long journey, and you know I'm not blessed with a sturdy constitution.
Jane, my dear, that you do all that you do is completely miraculous.
We arrived at the Count's farm in the evening. They sent news of our arrival, and Mary and I passed a long night in his rustic guest house with only a single candle. He met with us the following day.
Ladies in waiting, eh?
The sun sets early in Russia. When we finally met, alas, John, it did not go well. He expressed contempt for my dress.
Your dress? What could be wrong with your dress? Perhaps he had a touch of food poisoning, the vapors, or dyspepsia?
In fact, he said, "I could make an entire dress from the fabric in merely one of the sleeves of your dress."
An aristocratic boor, posing as a peasant.
And he seemed to have forgotten I was traveling with a companion, and did not ask Mary's name, nor acknowledge her in any way.
How utterly rude.
Yes, but he was a wonderful man.
Oh, surely.
Yes, surely.
On a farm called Yasnaya Polyana, wearing a rough-woven shirt, lives a noble-born Count Leo Tolstoy, and he's up to his elbows in dirt. He believes that our work will redeem us. We must live by the sweat of our brow. And when visitors visit and ask him how is it, he's only too glad to tell how.
And how?
Oh, how we admire Count Tolstoy, and the way he communes with the land.
Though he only eats porridge,
He's never discouraged.
he's a wonderful, wonderful man. Such a wonderful, wonderful man. When I came to Yasnaya Polyana, from a journey of several days, I was full of emotion and humble devotion to learn of this modern saint's ways. You can trust I was not disappointed that he had but 1 hour to spare. For his work so important, I would not have shortened it. I was just glad to be there.
Oh, how we admire Count Tolstoy.
His novels,
His essays,
his plans.
such plans.
Though he didn't like me too much.
One must agree he's such a wonderful, wonderful man. Such a wonderful, wonderful man. He supports non-resistance to evil.
And opposes conscription to war.
He's a strict vegetarian.
Anti-sectarian, in fact, there's not much that he's for. If we only could live like Count Tolstoy.
Think how our lives would be simple and pure. We would not own our houses.
We'd cut up our blouses and give all the sleeves to the poor.
Are you sure? Oh, how we admire Count Tolstoy, whose bread is made by his own hand. But he's so full of perfect love, most folks aren't good enough for this wonderful, wonderful man. He so loves humanity, it's people he can't stand. For he's a wonderful, wonderful man, such a wonderful, wonderful man. Jane, does this place never settle down? Doorbells ringing, debates raging. When do you rest?
John, this is exactly what life should be about. Oh, Aunt Nellie. Pardon me, John, here is a young friend. You must excuse me.
Of course, I will be on my way. And I gather that you have more excitement ahead. Good evening, miss. Goodbye, dear Jane.
Aunt Jane, my only friend, my dearest angel, I need you now.
Nellie, dear, you look frozen to the bone. Where have you been these past months? I lost track of you shortly after you and Mr. Themy married. I have been worried.
I've been to hell and back, Aunt Jane.
How did you come here at this hour? Where have you been? Put down your basket. You look ghastly. Please sit, dear.
I came on the streetcar. I'm alone in this world, Aunt Jane. You're my only friend.
Nellie, you know that I have stood by you in the tempest, but it is hard to help you when I have no idea where you are. It has been nearly a year.
Aunt Jane, I knew that if I told you where I was, you couldn't manage to lie to my mother if she came looking for me. I was living, or better to say, hiding, at a room at Mrs. Martin's.
Your landlady, when you married Mr. Themy?
Yes, when Rudy was sent to prison. I guess you heard about that. I had to move back with Ma, again. And she dragged me to work at her hotel. She kept bringing her boss around to stare at me and pester me. She pushed him on me. I hated him. But he was her boss.
My dear girl.
He had his way in the end. Once I realized that I was in the family way, I moved out without telling her and went back to Mrs. Martin's alone. She let me move into a spare room in exchange for cleaning and mending.
I see.
Mrs. Martin didn't even notice my condition. Her eyes are clouded over, she can barely see. So long as I mended her clothes and stitched her buttonholes, she had no complaints. And I ate what I could take out of her pantry. I usually went to bed hungry.
Oh, my. How long did this continue?
5 long months. When I could no longer sleep through the night, I told her I wanted to visit my mother, and I went to county and checked myself in. They kept me in confinement for 3 weeks. They took good care of me, and nobody asked any nosy questions. The maternity floor was full of women, black women, white women, immigrant girls, all of us alone, poor and in crisis. I thought about what you do, Aunt Jane, and I helped feed and wash the new babies. I even gave a couple of newborns my breast.
It sounds like a sanctuary for women and girls.
It was. At least for poor girls like me, Aunt Jane. But when my time finally came, after hours of agony, the baby came out crooked and tore me near to pieces.
Childbirth is dangerous even in a hospital. How absolutely horrible, Nellie.
They let me stay another week with the baby. I named her Ethel, until my wounds started to heal. Then I had no choice but to take her back to Mrs. Martin's, where I had my clothes and blankets.
You should have come here, Nellie.
I was afraid Ma and her boss would come here looking for me.
Yes, she came by here some time back, asking if I knew where you were. I assure you I wouldn't have told her, even if I knew.
When Mrs. Martin saw Ethel, she called me terrible names and locked me out. I sobbed and begged and made a scene. She finally let me in, but started to make the sign of the cross every time she saw me. For a nice Christian lady, she wasn't very Christian. But that's nothing new to me.
Did your mother find you there?
No, she never did. But Mrs. Martin made me work even harder. For $1 a week. The room had no fireplace, and I had nothing but table scraps to eat. I tried to nurse Ethel, but my milk was no good, thin and blue. I got sick, and so did Ethel.
Oh, my heavens.
This evening, at 3 months old to the day, Ethel joined Graham and the other angels.
Oh, dear, how tragic.
Mrs. Martin heard me sobbing and told me to call the coroner to take Ethel away. I cried no. Let her rest in heavenly peace, not tossed into a pauper's grave in Potter's Field. So I rushed out the door and brought her here.
In the basket? Oh, dear. Poor little thing. But why here?
Aunt Jane, I want Ethel to rest with the saints and the angels, not tossed in a pauper's grave. I beg you, please give my Ethel a proper burial.
Oh, I suppose I can arrange that. Of course we can arrange that. In your family plot.
Fact is, we don't have a plot. But I'd be ever so grateful, Aunt Jane.
Dear, I will take care of things in the morning.
Jane, now they are arguing. I think it might come to blows. You need to... Oh, Nellie? What are you doing here at this hour of the night?
She has had a tragic event, Julia. She has lost a baby.
Oh, Nellie. We didn't know. Oh, dear. Why? Why do women and children always come last in this world?
I don't know the answer to that, Miss Lathrop. But Jesus knows I loved my baby.
Julia, I have told Nellie I will arrange a final resting place for her angel.
Poor dear. Nellie, can't you stay and rest a bit? Can we fix you some supper?
Mrs. Martin will be looking for me tomorrow at 7 a.m., right after her morning prayers, so I have to go back.
Dear, I will take tender care of Ethel.
Ethel, my angel, I give you to my angel on earth.
Nellie, I will bring her upstairs to my room and then prepare some food for you. And let me get you some money. You must buy some liver from the butcher tomorrow. You'll need to get back your strength. Julia, the social science enthusiasts will have to control themselves. I cannot come. Nellie is more important.
Yes, she is. If they will not control themselves, I will make them leave.
Yes, women and children first. Well, Ellen and Julia, here we are again. 2 days to Christmas. And here is a parcel. Let's see what Mrs. High Society Haldeman Adams, Mother, has sent me for Christmas. What do you guess?
Could it be yet another embroidered tea cozy?
No, the package is too small. Is it a lace ruffle?
I am about to faint from the excitement. Let's see.
Oh.
Aha! It's another handkerchief. And my poor niece has undoubtedly been forced to squint over it instead of enjoying the books I send. Poor girl. I'm going to write the thank you note right away before cynicism overpowers me. What on earth shall I write?
Tell her your nose is exceedingly grateful for the gift.
Ooh, tell her it's nothing to sneeze at.
All right, here we go. December 22, 1903, Hull House. My dear mother, may I thank you for the handkerchief which came this morning. Isn't it very cheering to have a home greeting in the midst of the Christmas rush?
Honestly, a Christmas hanky. Does she think your nose is dripping?
Out! Out, damn spot! You need to wipe yourself clean, Jane.
To her, Halsted Street is filthy. Hull House is filthy. Chicago is filthy.
Is that why she never visits?
She did not visit for the first 3 years, as you know. The first time she came was during the Columbian Exposition, with the pretext that she was chaperoning my niece. It was the fair she wanted to see, not Hull House. And I might add that despite her endowment, as you know, she has never contributed a single penny of donation.
Maybe the handkerchief is the donation.
Can you imagine?
She thought it was splendid when you and I went to Europe after seminary.
Yes, Ellen. She believed we were finishing our training to become respectable wives with prominent husbands, not future organizers of a news-making settlement house.
A world-famous settlement house. But I suppose she didn't thrill to the idea that her daughter would become the first woman garbage commissioner.
She wanted to make you a fine Victorian lady.
She always has been an aspirant to all things elegant.
like all of our mothers. All that training in table manners. Remember this?
La 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 la. If children are carefully taught to hold utensils properly and use them well so nothing falls or slips. If children are carefully taught to place the napkin skillfully and eat without the slightest sound of the lips. If children are carefully taught to drink from glasses silently and fully masticate the food at hand. If children are carefully taught, they will always be at ease at the grandest tables in the land. La 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 la.
Surely you remember the rules for the table.
Drink sparingly when eating, it's better for digestion. Drink sparingly when eating, much better for digestion. And when you start to drink, do it easily and gently, and do not pour the liquid down your throat. Do you note? You must not pour the liquid down your throat. You must not talk loudly or boisterously at table. Never speak too loudly or boisterously at table. Be cheerful and companionable and chat as you are able. But do not monopolize the talk. You're a lady. You must not monopolize the talk. When a course is finished, if knife and fork are used. When a course is finished, if a knife and fork are used, in the middle of the plate, you must lay them side by side, not crossed with the handles facing right. That's right, uncrossed with the handles facing right.
And the dreadful pamphlet given to men. She read it to my stepbrother piously as if it contained Bible verses. We had to suppress our giggles. It went something like this. Don't seat yourself until the ladies have sat down. Never bend your head for a mouthful of soup. Don't balance peas on your knife like a clown. A fork is not a pitchfork. A spoon is not a scoop. Don't make chomping noises when you are chewing. Never try to speak with food in your mouth. Don't gulp a beverage. Be alert to what you're doing. Keep your napkin on your lap. Please do not let it go south. Don't wipe perspiration from your face with a napkin. Never spit seeds or gristle on the floor. Don't stand up mid-meal, no matter what may happen. Well-dressed, well-washed, well-groomed is what ladies all adore.
Oh, 3 fallen ladies from the court of Queen Victoria.
A little less proper and a great deal busier.
Let's hear it for the modern working woman. Hip, hip, hooray!
Hooray!
You've been listening to St. Jane and the Wicked Wicks, an audio musical, written, composed, and produced by Kristin Lems, directed by Douglas Post, music direction by Diana Lawrence, Piano arrangements and performance by Tom Cortese. Mixed and edited by Dan Dietrich. Featuring Rebecca Keeshan as Nellie Wicks, Kathy Cowan as Jane Addams, Maddie Sachs as Julia Lathrop, Monica Saflick as Ellen Gates Starr, and Patrick Burns as John Dewey.